Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 4. Wow, already episode 4 of the Business Line podcast. My name is Brian. This is my partner in crime, Manny. Happy to have you here, buddy. It's been a week. I've missed everybody out there. We've got a fantastic show set up for you guys today. We've got Corinne Koger with us today. Corinne founded a law firm called Koger Law Firm, which is a boutique firm specializing in trademarks, copyrights, and contracts. But this wasn't just another firm. It was also mission driven in a way that aimed at transforming content creators into bona fide business owners. That's a big thing happening right now because so many people out there creating content.
Brian, she started in 2019, and then in 2021, once the NCAA allowed student athletes to make money off their names, image, and likeness, which is like, that's longer version of
we're going to talk
NIL.
about that big time today. Yeah, that's going to be great.
Yeah.
Big thing going on with student athletes right now.
Yeah.
And she's at the forefront of it. So can't wait to get started. So today, Koger Law Firm has helped countless creators safeguard their creative works. Corinne has transformed her clients from just content creators into proud owners of robust intellectual property portfolios. Corinne,
that would be interesting.
So happy to have you here. Thanks so much for joining the podcast. So Corinne, tell us about yourself. What's your story?
Okay. Thank you guys for having me. Number one, my name is Corinne Koger. I'm the owner of Koger Law Firm, which is a boutique law firm that specializes in intellectual property and NIL. So by way of background, I've always been interested in media. In high school, in college, I did everything media. My major at Hampton University was mass media with a focus on broadcast journalism. Somehow I was convinced to go to law school. So I then attended law school at Howard University School of Law. Again, taking a lot of courses in intellectual property. But when I came out, and like most people who, are thrust upon the job market, you take the jobs that you get. You don't necessarily start out where you want to. So I started my career at the public defender's office in the state of New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
Then went into insurance defense law, which is interesting. So car accidents, slip and falls. So I was a trial attorney. So all that stuff you see on TV, Law and Order. Yeah, I did that. But media, like I said, had always been my passion. So when it got to the point where I could not stand going to work anymore, I said, okay, I need to open up my own shop. I was able to take courses to become an intellectual property practitioner because law school doesn't teach you how to practice law. And been doing this since 2019.
Wow. So back up a little bit. There came a time when you couldn't stand going to work anymore. Tell me about that.
So I would get in my car in the morning and cry.
I don't want to bring up old emotions, but what led to that, Corinne? Because honestly, I think a lot of us as business owners, we get to that point. I think a lot of people get to that point and it takes some courage, but tell us about you in particular, what happened with you?
It was just grueling. I enjoyed being a public defender. That's not the job that made me cry. I enjoyed, helping the indigent defendants. Unfortunately, people do not pay public service workers what they should be paid. Couldn't pay the bills, couldn't pay student loans. So, like I said, I went into insurance defense and my schedule was just grueling. For those of you who are familiar with the East Coast or New Jersey, I would get up in the morning on Monday mornings, go to court. Sometimes I'm in one court. Sometimes I'm in court in the morning in one county and then in another county in the afternoon. On Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, I would do depositions. So deposition at 10, deposition at 2. I would get my cases the night before, read over 1,000 to 3,000 to 4,000 pages of discovery of medical records, prepare for the cases, come in, depose people, ask them questions. Sometimes they were lay people, sometimes they were experts, get in the car, drive again, do it all again at 2:00 and drive home. So my mornings would start with me leaving the house around 5, probably getting home at 7, eating, trying to maybe go out with friends and, grab something to eat with them. And then from 9 until 12, preparing for the cases the next day. And I'm like, this is not the way to live life.
It's not sustainable for sure. Yeah. But you're a go-getter, so you were doing it, right? But like you said, it wasn't necessarily making the ends meet either.
Yeah, I mean, public defender work did not make ends meet. Being an insurance defense attorney did pay well, but it did not pay enough to sacrifice my mental health and sanity.
Everything, yeah. Yeah, because you said you get a little bit of time with friends, to keep your sanity because we need to be social. And then that's it.
Yep.
You go home, get ready. And so the time you are having with your friends, you're probably thinking about the whole time, I got to get home and get back to work.
Absolutely.
Right. So, well, you know what? We're really glad that you made the decision to go out on your own and start this because you're here with us.
Thanks
so
for having me.
Fast forward a little bit. You've got your business, and tell us a little bit about what your day-to-day is like now.
It's a lot different. So, so typically today's Tuesday, I lose track of days. Monday is an admin day for me. So I get up, I meet with my staff at 10 o'clock every morning, Monday through Thursday, do a morning huddle. I do administrative stuff on Monday. I check and see where all the cases are, what my trademark and copyright deadlines are. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I take meetings with either potential clients or clients, do appearances such as this on podcasts, try to create my own content. I'm not doing that well at that.
It's tough. It's tough. We're trying.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. More consistent. On Fridays, I do not take any meetings, not with staff, not with anybody. I try to wind down on Fridays. I will work typically from about 9 to 3 and stop at 3. And that's why I went into business for myself.
Right. And you fired your old bosses and now all your clients are your bosses. Now you got lots of bosses.
Yeah, but these are good bosses. I like these bosses.
Yeah, right. You want to work hard for them, right? You want to win for them. That's what's cool.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Manny, anything you want to ask Corinne about kind of...
Okay, so my question is related to your business. Like you specialize in trademarks and copyrights.
Yes.
So what's the basic difference? Not the Google definition. What's the basic difference? How is it like for a small business like us? How can we differentiate between a trademark and copyrights? We always get confused when we hear these terms.
It is actually really simple, especially in this day and age when people are talking about social media all the time. The trademark is your brand. The copyright is your content. It's that simple. So the trademark is...
It's like a big white light just went over my head. Why does no one ever tell us this?
Oh yeah, Google always confuses me.
All right, Corinne. All right, the invoice is in the mail.
Right. The trademark is the name of your podcast. It's the name of your business. It's your logo. It's your graphic. Copyrights are your written material, your blogs, your website, your music, these podcast episodes that you're recording. That's your copywritten material.
I got my notes. We can end the show now. I'm going to get back to work. No, just kidding. That's great. Good job, Manny.
When you said like your trademarks or your logos, so is how like necessary it is to
do this,
trademark your logos.
Yeah. It's 100%.
We have a logo.
It's 100% necessary if you want to have a sustainable business that is recognized by the public. So this is what happens. I'm going to try to keep it simple. Most people get an idea. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to open a business. They go, on Fiverr, get somebody to, make a logo for them. They start their podcast. They start putting out all this content and they look up and a year later, somebody else has the same exact logo and they're doing the same exact thing. And
our old logo. That happened with our old logo.
And now you're like, oh crap, I'm in trouble. And what I tell people is you actually need to start your business venture with your trademark. You need to talk to an attorney, such as I, take them your name, take them your proposed logo. When you get your logo that's actually created by somebody else, you need to get a copyright transfer agreement. Just because you pay for the logo doesn't mean it belongs to you. It belongs to the person that created it. So they need to transfer those rights over to you. You need to file it with the trademark office, even if you're not using it yet. So if, for instance, your business is your podcast, and you're going to we're going to start in 6 months. I don't care. Go ahead, trademark your logo now. So it's protected if and when somebody tries to use it, in the future. So I hope that answered your question.
When you're talking about your logos, when your first logo might be of a different color can you have multiple colors trademarked as your logo
Yes.
when you're registering
Yes.
it?
So typically I advise people to trademark your name. So, trademark the name of your podcast. And then if you have a logo for your podcast or a graphic for the podcast, trademark that in black and white. That will cover you if you want to use other colors. So for instance, if your logo is in blue and yellow and you trademark it in blue and yellow, it's only protected in blue and yellow. So if somebody else takes it and they have it in red and white, it's not protected. But if you trademark it in black and white, it is protected. And then I would say, if you really want to be strong, then trademark it in blue and yellow.
Oh, wow. That's really important. That's black and white,
black
right?
And white,
Black and white is the way to go.
Gets you everything. Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
That's good.
I didn't know that. Thanks, Karin.
You're welcome.
That was valuable information.
That was really good.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch it up a little bit because you're more interested in the technical nature of things. I'm more interested in the people. What was the hardest thing about starting your business, Karin? What was the biggest struggle? In getting actually, let's back up. How long have you been in business for yourself?
I would say I opened the firm in 2019. I didn't really start practicing until 2020. And my first clients, I'm very fortunate. I got my clients through networking. So by way of background, I was a school board member for 18 years for a charter school in Philadelphia. The charter school had attorneys. However, they did not cover intellectual property. So for 18 years, I've known these attorneys, we talk, we're always at school board meetings together. And then when they learned that I open practice and this is what I specialize in, they were like, hey, our other clients need these services. So that's how I got started. You never know what your relationships with people are going to lead. People like run into networking all the time. Like, let's say you go to a networking happy hour and you might try to get somebody's business like the next day. Sometimes it doesn't happen like that. People get to know each other and trust each other, over time. And then it's like, oh yeah, I trust you with my business. I trust, you to give my clients to you. So that was how I obtained my first clients. The rest of my clients came from social media. So I started posting on social media, this is what I do. Which is funny because I'm a big social media person. I love Facebook. I'm addicted. Zuck has me. I'm a meme person. Yeah, I post memes all day, every day. And like one day I was like, these people just think I post memes for a living. Let me tell them
professional
exactly, what I do. And because I'm an entrepreneur, I network with a lot of entrepreneurs. And they're like, oh yeah, I need this service. So that's how I get clients.
So the other part of that is what's been your biggest struggle? What's the biggest low point? I love high points. Believe me, I'm a positive, glass full kind of guy. But the stories we hardly ever hear about are the biggest struggles and how you overcome them. So what was the toughest thing about going out on your own for you?
Cash flow. Yeah, point blank cash flow. If you have a business, if I go into this, I don't just do trademarks, but that is 90% of my business. So, if I have my number that I need to hit, this is how many trademarks I need to do this month. This is how many clients I need to obtain this month. Months are great. Some months are slower, but, having consistent cash flow it's the low point, of the business. As a result, I'm starting a subscription service. We'll get into that later if you guys are interested.
That's what I was going to ask. I was just going to ask that, Karin, because my next question was going to be, do you build your revenue on more of a project basis based on each thing at a time, or on what we would call in the IT business, monthly recurring revenue, or MRR, right? Building an as a service type approach to whatever you're doing for people.
So a majority of my business is the monthly recurring revenue, or what I call a subscription service. So that's really for high volume content creators. If you are constantly putting out content every month, you essentially have me what I do with those clients, they have a flat fee that they pay every month, and then trademark and copyright unlimited content. All they have to pay extra are the filing fees. So again, it's for heavy producing content creators. So again, podcasters, online course creators. I told you I work with charter schools, schools, if they are creating their own curriculums. Anybody that is constantly pumping out content every month, that's who my service is for that. Now, if you are a small business owner that isn't pumping out content, but yet you still need to protect your business by way of, getting your trademark, having your contracts, in place. A lot of times people go out, they start their business, there are no contracts in place. So that's another service that we offer, independent contracts, non-disclosure agreements, those type of things.
Okay. Very good. Oh, you already did the copyright and
talked about
question.
trademarks. So, like these people, not these people, these days people are using AI for building contracts or finding out how to do trademarks. How's that, affecting your business?
It really hasn't changed my business at all. Okay, you go to ChatGPT, who I'm a big fan, love ChatGPT. Go to ChatGPT. Hey, can you write out a non-disclosure agreement for me? ChatGPT will tell you, I am not an attorney. Do you know if that non-disclosure agreement cuts mustard? Does it cover everything that you want it to cover? Does it cover jurisdiction? Does it cover what happens if there's a dispute? Does it cover whether you're going to go to arbitration and go to trial? So those are the type of things that I suggest people go to the attorney with. So for instance, we will do one-off contract reviews. If somebody comes to me and they created their contract on AI, but they just want an attorney to look it over, we do that too. So it really has not changed my business. AI can't do that. AI can help.
So,
right.
Yeah, AI, what maybe AI is doing, people are coming up with their own contracts using AI. They're coming to you and then you find lots of problems in there, right?
Yep.
And maybe they are ending up paying more, because you are spending more time correcting that.
Absolutely.
So for people like those, what's your advice?
Go to an attorney.
Go to Corinne.
Go to an attorney. Come to me. Pay for the consultation. That is when you talk about low points. That is another low point in my business. I do charge for consultations. I do a 15-minute intro conversation with folks, or at least my firm does, to figure out if we can help service you. So, somebody might call me and they have, a traffic ticket. I don't handle that. That's what the 15-minute conversation is for. Can I help you? If this is something in which I can help you with, let's have a consultation. And there's two. I do a discovery call that's kind of to answer questions like this. What's the difference between a trademark and a copyright? What type of contracts do I need in my business? Or people might come to me and say, hey, I found out Joe Blow over there is using my mark, on Facebook. What should I do? That's what I call a strategic session. And we map out a strategy and then decide whether or not you want to continue on with your legal services. And, everybody does not need full-blown legal services, but some people do. There are people. I tell people, especially when it comes to trademarks, because like I said, that's 90% of the business. The most important phase in the trademark process is the research up front. A lot of times people will go into Google, they'll type in, again, I'll use you guys, they'll type in the podcast name. And it's like, oh, I don't see it out there anywhere. But did you check the trademark office? Did you check, domain names? Did you check all the social media? Did you check the state registers? Those are the deeper searches that we do as trademark attorneys, and we come back to you and tell you our findings. So say, for instance, you have a podcast name and somebody used it 3 years ago, but they never did anything with it. Should I go forward with that or not? Do I want to take the risk? Sometimes I've had clients that think their name is, easy breezy, but when we look, it's like, oh, it's kind of close to this, brand over here. And they're very litigious. They have filed, 80 lawsuits, in the past in the past year. So one of those is Entrepreneur Magazine. So anybody using Entrepreneur in anything, be aware, Entrepreneur Magazine is coming for you.
Wow. So years ago, here's a little story. I completely forgot about it until you started talking about the litigious nature of companies with logos and stuff. So my first job in IT sales was for a little company called Tech Squad IT. My buddy Chris made it. It was years ago, over a decade ago. But that was right around the time Best Buy launched their Geek Squad brand. All right, so Geek Squad, Tech Squad, different, and the logos didn't look the same, but that didn't stop lawyers from Geek Squad serving Chris letters saying, hey, cease and desist with this name. Now, they didn't come after us. So I think it was more of a a scare tactic, but they tried for sure.
Yeah. So again, if you have something like that, and again, if you do that at the beginning, you have a choice to say, I'm going to go full force with this, or maybe I want to change it because I don't even want to deal with those problems down the line. And a lot of people avoid trademark registration because they say it's expensive, or the lawyer for this is expensive, but you end up dump's a bad word, but you might spend $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, on your company, and only to find out that it's going to be an issue later. So had you invested that money up front, because your trademark registration is an investment, that could have been avoided. You're more protected, and then you're in the position to send out the cease and desist letter. So for instance, right now, if you're selling on Amazon, if your brand is on Facebook, TikTok, all the social medias, and you want to file basically if you want to file a DCMA action, basically telling them, hey, somebody's stealing my stuff, the very first question is, are you registered? If you're not registered, they might say, hey, I can't do anything for you.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, let's move on to the kind of the topic of the day.
Question, before we move on. So this is kind of, I think it's important, like people who have businesses in multiple countries.
Mm-hmm.
So if a trademark registered in US, is it like valid globally?
No.
Or do I? No.
No.
Okay.
So there is what's called the Madrid Protocol that helps you trademark in multiple countries.
Okay. So it's multiple countries, but not globally. I mean,
so you have to go to different countries.
Yeah. And do it. What about copyrights? I mean, I have seen copyrights, like copyright by this, copyright by that, like, is that also global, or it's only like?
You only have US protection. You would have to file for copyrights in other countries. But here's the thing with copyrights. Once you put something into a tangible medium, you own the copyright, right? So this video recording today, you own the copyright. You can put your C, on it and say, this is mine, all rights reserved, meaning nobody else can use this without my consent. But if they do, and you do want to come after them with a cease or desist or file a lawsuit, the first thing they're going to ask is it registered? If it's not registered, there is a very expensive process to do a rush registration. But why go through that? And also in this day and age of constant content creation, you can batch register. So if you're a photographer taking a bunch of photos, you can register those. You can register, a bunch of your blog posts. One thing that I know that you guys didn't ask about this, but I think it's important that I tell folks, a photo of yourself is not necessarily your photo. It belongs to the person who took it. So I don't know if you've heard, of like Taylor Swift or Kylie Jenner, one of these, big name celebrities, see a photo of themselves on Instagram. They think it's cute. They take it, they post it on their Instagram. Boom. They're hit with a lawsuit from the photographer because that photo belongs to the photographer. It doesn't belong to them.
Yeah. Try to go to like a photo developing store or even like a Walmart to get, if those people back there look at the photos they're going to develop and they look somewhat professional, especially if there's a watermark, they won't touch them unless you have a letter from the photographer releasing the images to be copied. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So NIL, I don't know what it stands for, but I'm guessing you're going to tell us. But, I've been a sports fan forever, even though in the last few years, raising a family and a business stuff, I don't get around to it as much as I used to. But for years, it was always a topic. I'd be listening to sports radio or whatever. A big topic was collegiate athletes and their right to their really to make money from their name or to be able to profit from their name as opposed to the institution. And I was telling Manny about this a couple of days ago as an example. When I went to college, my first few years I studied art because I wanted to be an art teacher. But I remember having to sign off as a freshman on a document saying that any art that I created as an art student did not belong to me, even if I didn't do it in class, even if I did it in my dorm, as long as I was a student, any art that I created was not my own and the school could use it how they see fit. I didn't like it back then, but as an 18-year-old kid, I didn't know what the heck. I didn't think I had any rights or anything. And maybe I didn't then. Maybe I do now. I don't know if this applies to that kind of stuff, but for athletics, a big deal. Multi-billion-dollar industry. I love it. Institutions of higher learning. They do a great service for our society, but at the same time, I think they do a disservice to athletes by, I've always felt this. I was a very low level athlete, but I've always felt like the big athletes, they're going to make a lot of money, but some of them never get to that point. Some of them, I just had a meeting with a client of ours who, for a couple of years, he was in sports psychology professionally, and he started a nonprofit trying to help families of students and collegiate athletes that committed suicide because of kind of, going through that part of their life, thinking they're going to make it big time in athletics, and such a small percentage of them make it. But all this whole time they've been working for less than minimum wage, doing work study programs or stuff, So I'll quit blabbing. Tell us about the awesome work you're doing, Corinne, with NIL.
So NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. It has been around, for decades. However, the NCAA did not allow it until 2021. So like you said, you have these student athletes, they're playing for the school, they're playing their butts off. But yet they
risking their life and limb, really. You get hurt, you're done. Life,
limb, CTE, the whole nine. And all this money is coming to the school. All the media money is going to the school. So let's say, for instance, you're in high school. Let's say you're a gamer. This is what's going on with the kids. You're a gamer, you're making money, playing games, you're on Twitch, you're on YouTube, but you're a college athlete, you sign with a university. Now let me back up. Before 2021, they would tell you, if you come play for the school, you can't make money gaming anymore. They weren't allowed.
What? I didn't.
Yeah, really? They were not allowed to make, any additional monies.
So if they had a cast or if they were an influencer of some sort, that's got to go out the door. No longer.
So now they can, make money off of their own name, image, and likeness. And this is huge. So how do you do it? I will say that people hear about the, Shedeur Sanders and, all the top players that are getting deals, left and right and cars. And, so that happens for a very small 1% of college athletes. The average college athlete that is getting NIL deals, they're probably making around $3,000 a year. That can go up, it can go down, and it depends on in the way that they get NIL deals. Come in different places. Some people or some of the student athletes sign up on what's called the marketplace. Some of the schools have them, so it's kind of like a dating site for student athletes and brands. So they go on the site. The brand says, "Hey, we're doing a campaign. Can you do, 6 Facebook reels, for 6 months, we'll pay you, $50 per reel." Or, it's an apparel company and they'll say, "Hey, we'll give you some free gear, post, wearing our gear and we'll give you a coupon code and you get, 20%. But obviously, you want to make as much money as you can possible. So what I stress to student athletes that I work with, and parents, because I'm talking to parents, as soon as the student athlete starts making money using their name, image, and likeness, they are a business. as soon as you make over $600, you got to pay taxes, right? So what's happening is a lot of student athletes don't know this. A lot of the universities don't know this. If the university has a compliance office, most of the student athletes have to report the fact that they have an NIL deal, but they don't look at the contracts, and they can't. They can't look at your contract and tell you, whether it's good or not. So just like the situation that you had, Brian, at school, signing off and saying, everything that I do now belongs to the school. That's happening in these NIL deal contracts. I looked at one where a student athlete, the management company, the sports management company said, yeah, we'll file trademarks for you. And they'll be your trademarks if you ask them in writing, after having them for a year. Otherwise, the management company owned their trademark. That makes no sense. So I mean, I literally have one of my shortest TikToks ever, and it says every student athlete needs an attorney. Somebody needs to look out for you, look over, these contracts, not your mom, not your dad, not your coach, not the attorney that's a friend of a family that does, hit and runs or real estate, somebody that knows contracts and knows specifically, intellectual property. When you do these, videos for these, for the brands, who owns the video? Do they own it? Do you own it? How long do you have to keep it? Do you have to keep it up for 6 months? Do you have to keep it up for a year? What do you do with the video after you're done? It's so much. It's a lot. And it's so new. And there's so much money out there to be had. It's not supposed to be pay for play, but in some instances,
it's exciting to me. I mean, this is neat because I think about this and my mind kind of tries to wrap around everything. This can be a huge win-win for everybody when you look at it. Like, first of all, if I'm talking to athletes, and this is the way that it works now. Don't be penny wise, pound foolish on this. Don't ask your mom or your best friend or someone who went on Google to be your quote unquote legal expert to make sure that, this is you that you're protecting, right? So, and if you do it like, and you work with someone like you, Corinne, who's gonna make it a fair deal and a win-win from a standpoint, there's a cost to it, but you're going to benefit. And I look at us as a business owner. Our community isn't from a standpoint of local intercollegiate athletics and things like that. It's not huge. We've got like a Division III school and we've got some small state schools, but nothing where there's a lot of celebrity going on there. But I could see in a community like Green Bay, an hour north, there's UWG, a D1 basketball program. Those games are televised live. Those kids are known in the community. And if I'm a business up there and I want to connect our business to a really good athlete who I think is a good character and upstanding person, I would love to pay them money to wear a Panacea owl. You know what I mean? And that's because I get to grow my business. He gets to grow his brand. The school gets to benefit as well. I mean, that's the nice thing about this marketplace that's being created by this NIL work. That's what I see. I don't know.
That's how I see it. And actually, when you mentioned the local businesses, I tell student athletes that's the way to go. Again, people are looking at like Beats by Dre. Like, don't even look at them. Look at, Bob's, tires.
Tire and Auto or something.
Exactly. Down the street locally. The chance that you'll get that deal versus a Beats by Dre deal is a lot higher. You'll get more recognition. And again, I tell them this is the start of your business. So even if you don't want to be an entrepreneur, right? You're a student athlete. You're making a couple dollars. I remember being a broke, student. Now you have some money in your pocket. You do have the opportunity to start your own business or put money away for your savings or give money to your family, because some of the student athletes do send money, home. You can create a relationship with that brand that you work with. Maybe you go work for them. You never know. There's so many opportunities, that are out there. And for that small period of time where there is NIL for student athletes, because everybody just says NIL now, and it's, for student athletes. But when you grow out of that, you can become an influencer. It's the same thing. It's just you're not under the NCAA, rules or guidelines anymore, if you're not a student athlete. So, NIL applies to anybody that is using their name, image, and likeness. So I don't know if you guys are following the Michael Orr case. I fight with people on Facebook, all the time. So, Michael Orr was the subject, of the blind side. The Tuohys took him in. They had him signed to a conservatorship as opposed to, adopting him. And what they're trying to say is, we only made so much money, off of this movie. We gave him his fair share. The writer was just the writer of the book was just on 60 Minutes the other day. Like, hey, I sold the rights. This is how much we made off the book. I gave them, $125,000. Don't quote me on that. And that's it. There's really no money there. I'm like, but what you're forgetting is the Tuohys built a whole empire off of the blind side using Michael and his name, image, and likeness. Would you have your nonprofit but for him? You're out here, you're selling T-shirts, you're starting businesses off of this notoriety. They did not do what they were supposed to do under the conservatorship, which was submit an accounting of everything that's going on since then. So it's not about just the money he made or could have made directly from the movie. It's the indirect money that's out there that's based upon his name, image, and likeness. If there was no Michael Orr, there would be no.
Have you seen this movie?
Blind Side.
Manny, have you seen this movie?
Yeah,
it's a really good movie. It's a really neat story.
Movie, yeah.
I mean,
I've seen it a couple of times,
and I only heard loosely about the situation, but I tend to agree with you, Corinne, in that, whether it's the Tuohys or Michael, had Michael had somebody, or had they all done the things the right way from the beginning,
correct, how
could this situation be avoided, right? I mean, you never know. You don't know people unless you really know people, but I tend to always, and sometimes it bites me in the butt, but I try to see the best out of everybody, right? And ideally you want, if this kind of story to come out all roses, but it doesn't always happen like that. So what do you find is the biggest polarizing part of this story, Corinne, that you find yourself kind of conflicting with folks that talk about it?
The fact that they were not honest with him. Some people say, well, he knew it was a conservatorship. They didn't keep that from him. Okay. Did he really realize what that was as opposed to adoption?
Right.
Again, if they submitted the accounting to the court every year, like they should have done under the conservatorship, then there would be no problem. But the fact that they didn't do that for all of these years. So what are you hiding? That's the problem that I have with it. It's the lack of transparency. So this whole feigning, we always wanted to do what's right by him. Well, where's the accounting every year?
So let's say if things were going to work out, how does this whole situation turn into a win-win from your perspective as a legal expert?
They have a forensic accountant come in, determine how much money the Tuohys have made from the blind side and everything that branched off, from there, and decide what percentage he is owed from what was done in the past and what percentage he's owed of what goes on in the future.
Is Michael protected based on his rights and kind of the legal stuff that was set up for him or not set up for him? I mean, how much, how am I trying to say this? I'm probably botching it, but what I'm trying to say from his standpoint, what could he have done when he was younger to put him in a place to have made this easier to deal with now?
Get his own attorney to look over the conservatorship papers. And what happens is, and like I said, I talk to a lot of parents. In a perfect world, all parents would have the best interest of their child, at heart. But some don't. You hear about this with like child actors, all the time.
Oh, gosh,
and their parents,
right?
taking advantage of them and stealing their money and, all those things. So that's why I say everybody, if you're over the age of 18, even if your parent has looked over, your contract, go get your own attorney and, come to me, come to other, attorneys that work in NIL go to the law school. Some of the law schools have NIL clinics now, where they will offer the services, pro bono. A lot of us that look over the contracts for student athletes, we know they don't have money right now. Right. Some of us will do it pro bono, but people do charge for their services. So I'm not saying that everybody is going to be free, but it's an investment, in your future,
Yeah. And, hindsight being what it is, we can look back and see coulda, shoulda, woulda. But again, at the point in time when you're going on and you're playing college or you become, an NFL star, you're still pretty young. And I'm not saying necessarily that the Tuohys did this or anything. I'm not making any kind of accusation, but what you hear about with a lot of athletes is they get a lot of people attracted to them that don't have their best interest in mind. And man, so many young men, young women too now with, professional athletes being more and more women with new leagues. And actually, WNBA has been around a long time, but they get taken advantage of.
Yep.
They're not taught necessarily principles of finance and personal, leadership and all that kind of stuff. So
here we are talking about, taken advantage of by the family, right?
To some
extent, but when you are a kid, you are that young kid, 17, 18 years old. I mean, throughout your life, you have been told, don't talk to strangers. Don't.
At what point do your family trying to protect you? Maybe,
So the first people that you always, listen to or trust is your family. Is it easy for kids like this who are getting better and better in whatever they are doing to straight away go to attorney?
No,
and ask for advice?
I don't think it's easy.
You don't know what to do.
Yeah, most people want to trust their parents. Yeah.
And I think a lot of things. Maybe Corinne, you've experienced this in life, and Manny, we talk about this a lot. Is situations that we kind of see from the outside looking in, and we can look at evidence and we can look at things, but sometimes the reality is sometimes never always on the polar sides. Sometimes it's in the middle, but how do you know where that is? And a little bit of this and a little bit of that. It's a shame. And that's why I asked, best case scenario, how can this turn out, good for Mike and in a way and the family, to where they can kind of
good for
recover.
Mike, good for kids like Mike and their family.
Yeah,
I mean, this I believe creates a what do you call that?
Tension.
Conflict. Tension between families.
So, what's your favorite holiday this time of year? Fourth quarter. Is it Halloween? Is it Thanksgiving? Is it Christmas? Is it another holiday?
It's Christmas. I love the spirit of giving. I love, especially when you have kids in your family. It's nothing like giving gifts or, to a kid and seeing their face on Christmas. So yeah.
Do you have kiddos? Do you have kids?
I don't.
You don't, but do you have brothers and sisters with kids or other kiddos in the family?
My little brother, younger brother, I can't call him a little brother anymore. He's 40.
Still little.
His baby, it just turned 8 months. So by Christmas, she'll probably be walking. I am so excited to spoil her, and she'll be able to open her gifts. And I have friends with kids. So I love Christmas.
I do too. I always tell people that my favorite is Thanksgiving because I just love to eat and I love the food.
That's my husband's favorite.
Right. And I just love the no expectation behind it. But in all honesty, Christmas is crazy because at that time of year, I go right back to being a little kid. You know what I mean? I don't, yes, I act immature. Let's just get that out there. I'm immature, but I've got 4 kids ranging from 12 all the way to 2. And I just love getting down on that level for that month and getting so excited about their list. We're already talking about their list. They got the Walmart catalog, which was pretty lame this year. Walmart. I know you're not watching this, but that toy catalog was not good.
It's nothing like the old JCPenney Sears catalog.
JCPenney's or Sears, Montgomery Ward's. Yeah. Remember the big old thick one? Now it's Amazon. I get it on the computer. But anyway, they're cutting out stuff and pasting it on paper, and it looks like a ransom note for their toys, that they want for Christmas, and they're pulling it up to me yesterday. I love it. I do. That's exciting.
My favorite part of Christmas is, watching Christmas movies that come out every year.
Yeah. What's your favorite Christmas movie, Manny?
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
The one where
he falls off the roof?
Yeah, for all those series,
Tim
I love that guy.
Tim
I don't
Allen,
remember his name, but Tim Allen,
Tim Allen,
yeah.
How about you, Corinne? What's your favorite Christmas movie?
So I'm trying to think of the name of it. It's my most favorite one, but it's like the Griswold Family Christmas.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yes.
Oh,
that
yes.
is my favorite. It must be watched every year.
Oh my gosh. Yes. It's my number one too. That and Christmas Story, you'll shoot your eye out. Those are my two favorites depending on my mood. But like my son, who is 12, he was 11. I let him watch that movie for the first time last year because there's some iffy situations in the movie and a little bit of language.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like he was like, "Dad, this is dumb." I'm like, "You are no longer my son. Out." Out. Oh, I love that movie. It is so good. See, now we're best friends. We're best friends now.
So he likes that movie?
Oh yeah, I'll have you.
So good.
He's in depression.
Yeah.
You should go for an.
I think what I did is all those years I wouldn't let him watch it. And I was always talking about it being the best. I maybe built it up too much, and he didn't really get it. But I saw that movie. It came out in '89. Here's a little trivia. 1989 it came out. I was 9 years old because I was born in 80. I went to the movies and saw that movie by myself.
Wow.
I was probably too young to be, it was PG-13. I used to go to movies all the time. This was down in Beaumont, Texas, but I went to the movie by myself. So
you're accepting that you broke the law?
Oh, I'm
on
so
live
funny.
podcast.
Remember the first time I saw the part where at the end, at the end, the old lady's saying the prayer?
Yes.
She died years ago. It's so funny.
And my friends and I were just like laughing about this. Like, remember when we were young and like your parents used to like drop you off at the movie theater and the roller skating rink with like some money, like, oh, I'll be back in 3 hours.
Yep. That was the best. I wish we could still do that.
That doesn't happen right now.
No, it doesn't. And to some degree, I think it could. I think media and social media and the interconnectedness of all the bad stuff that happens, we see it all around us because we're constantly wondering.
It's not just here, it's global, like we used to go for bike rides, for miles and miles.
Yeah.
But now we are afraid to send our kids out alone.
Get out. Don't come back until the lights come on.
Yeah.
I don't want to see your face here in the summertime but you better not be late. Okay, so we got your favorite Christmas movie and your favorite holiday. What do you got going on this weekend, Corinne? What are you doing fun?
So my husband and I are moving across a couple states. So that's why the shelves in the back are bare. We go to Settlement on the 19th. We're very excited. So we're moving from Pennsylvania to Maryland. So all we're doing is packing.
So it's a couple states away. How far is that, honestly, though?
It's really only an hour and a half, which is good. So I live in the Philadelphia area.
Okay.
And a lot of my friends are between the Philadelphia area and the DMV, the DC area. So I'm kind of like smack in the middle. So I'm like, I'm so close to everybody. So I'm missing my homecoming at Hampton University, which, sucks. But I'm like, I'm getting a house though. I'll be all right.
Yeah.
Homecoming will be there.
That's exciting. So are you selling the home here and then buying another one? Or is this a first home purchase together?
So we are not. We are going to sell the house after we purchase that house, which is good. Like on one hand, though, I wish we were, because it would put more fire under my husband's butt to pack. It's like, oh, we don't have to pack everything right now. Like, no, we got to go. Let's go.
Let's go. Just cut ties. Get out of there. That's crazy. That's cool. Well, they say moving is one of the most stressful things you could do. What is it like? Getting married, moving, and having children or something like that, the top stressful things.
Yep.
You don't look very stressed. You look full of energy, full of life, and ready to go.
This is my face for you, Brian and Manny. I'll go back to being stressed after we get off this podcast.
We just helped my mother-in-law and father-in-law move a couple weeks back, and my mother-in-law is the neatest, tidiest, direct, like has to have decorations. So it's like she plans it all out. Like if we're moving stuff in, no, don't put that there, put that over there. Are you like that, or are you more a little loosey goosey with the way things are being set up?
Oh no, I'm like that. I'm waiting for my second batch of labels to come from Amazon, which say like living room, dining room, bedroom 1, bedroom 2, bedroom 3. I have my Google sheet with like everything on it. All the contractors we talk to, all the insurance companies. I tell him, like, you look at me like I'm crazy until it actually works out and you ask me a question and I know the answer. So I'm running around with like labels for the kitchen, for the dining room, for this, for that. Yeah. He's like, we could just all throw it all in bags. I'm like, no.
Cool. Well, all right. Let's are you a sports fan?
I'm an
Corinne?
Eagles fan.
You're an Eagles fan. Uh-oh.
Hey, we're 5-0.
I know. So I won't talk about my NFL team because we just got our butts kicked this weekend really, really bad. And
Green Bay?
No.
Which is your NFL team?
Dallas.
I knew you were going to say that.
I was born in Houston, so I grew up in Texas, so I can't let them go. But I don't hate the Eagles. Really, I don't hate any team. I just love football. But when we play the Eagles, like Eagles fans don't mess around though. They don't play around when it comes to rivalry. It's like so. Dallas, on the Dallas side, Dallas and Eagles, crazy Dallas fans probably are violent about their dislike for the Eagles, but Eagles fans have a reputation of like beating up Santa Claus.
So Dallas and Eagles, they are the biggest enemy?
No. But they're in the same conference, so they play each other twice a year, and a lot of the times, they're the two of the best teams in the conference. And right now, Eagles are definitely the best team. They're one of the best teams in the NFL right now, honestly. But it's kind of like, and every conference has its big rivals. It used to be Dallas, Washington, but Washington hasn't really been a real threat in a long time, I would say.
So, which is the best team in this conference that you're talking about?
Right now, in the Eastern, it's the Eagles. They're 5-0. They're
a proud Eagle fan.
Yeah, they're 5-0. Are they the only undefeated team left?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. We were, at this time last year, we were the only undefeated team.
Yeah. So, anyway, I still love you, Corinne. I
still love you too,
won't
Brian.
hold it against me, I won't hold it against you. Okay, good. All right. But how about college sports? Do you follow college sports?
Now, because of NIL, I am watching more college sports. But so like I said, I went to Hampton University. It's a HBCU.
Yep.
So they're an interesting college. They used to be in the MEAC. They have switched conferences, but because my potential clients are college athletes, I am starting to pay a lot more attention to college sports.
So for Manny, because he probably doesn't know, you said HBCU. Let me see if I get this right. Historically Black College and University. Kind of that group. Is that a stand for? Some really cool schools kind of fall into that category. So I didn't realize that school was there because you don't hear as much about it as some of the others. So that's really neat. Any big D1 football schools that you like?
I mean, because
okay.
I'm PA, Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Penn State. Okay, you're our second Penn State guest then. Our first, David Kitchen. He's a Pennsylvania guy, loves Penn State. They got a pretty good team. So we're just we'll say you're pulling for Penn State this weekend to win.
Yeah, that's what we'll say.
All right, that sounds good. So one of the things we've got in the habit of doing is letting Manny teach us a little bit about cricket. So Manny, last week you taught us, what did you teach us about cricket? You taught us about overs, right?
Yeah, overs.
Or
we
that 2
talked
weeks
about,
ago.
The different types of formats that we have in cricket and
what
is going on currently in cricket these days.
Yep.
So as I told you last time, we are having World Cup, which is called ICC World Cup happening. And there are a total of 48 matches that will happen, within this month and by the middle of the next month. So the finals are on the 19th November.
Mm-hmm.
And each team plays 9 games approximately. 9 games, and there are 10 teams in there.
Okay.
So
who's ranked number one? Who's ranked number one?
It just started. So
is there any predictions who's going to win? Is it?
Yeah. So the predictions, my prediction is, of course, India will be there in the final. So along with India, I'm guessing, England and South Africa is doing really good this year. They're scoring really high. And the fourth team, maybe, I think it's between Australia and New Zealand. But, the biggest match is happening on the 14th of October, which is happening in India in a city called Ahmedabad. And all the hotel rooms are booked. All B&Bs are booked.
Wow.
What people have done, they have booked hospital rooms, to watch that match. They have admitted themselves, they're saying that, okay, we'll come up for a one-day checkup. Yeah, one-day checkup and we'll sleep there. But what they're actually doing is, going to watch, they will watch the match and then go and sleep in there because there are no rooms available. in the whole city.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they allow that.
Yeah, I mean, it's new. I mean, this is the like biggest rivalry in the cricket world, India and Pakistan.
So that's the match on the 14th.
Whenever they play.
That's the match on the 14th?
Yeah, that's the match on the 14th. And every year, if, like India loses or if Pakistan loses, lots of people, like thousands and thousands of TVs are broken. Every year.
People toss their TVs. I see those YouTube videos about people doing that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's fun. I mean, it's a high pressure match. The players feel it. The citizens of both the countries feel it. I never watch this match because I cannot take that all that excitement.
To all TVs off.
It races my heart. Yeah.
Is it like the Super Bowl for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
probably. So, Corinne, is professional football your favorite sport?
Yeah.
All right. So, since that's the case, we have to. I need you to teach Manny something about professional football. So last week, Marty said, "So give me a basic principle to teach Manny." He said, "Protect the rock." And he's like, "The rock? What are you talking about? There's rocks in football?" I'm like, "No, it's the ball.
The ball.
Don't fumble, right? Don't fumble."
Protect the ball.
So if you were going to give Manny a key to American professional football, what would you say?
Get a good kicker.
Get a good kicker. Okay, tell us a little bit why.
It's a make it or break it. You come down to the wire. The teams are going to have to decide to go for it, or not. And the kicker, it's all on him or her.
Yeah,
they are
in those moments, right?
Yeah,
like they don't necessarily. Every play is win or lose a game in football. Like my son, I'll say this on every sport: no one play wins or loses a game because there's so much that builds up. Early in the game, someone could have done something better, and you could have been up 14 points instead of down 2, right? But I think you're absolutely right, Corinne. Like kickers have a lot of pressure on them. Football fans, most of the time, hate kickers. Or at least players, they hate kickers because kickers typically aren't the most physical people on the team. They have to be accurate. A lot of times soccer players become professional kickers. So there's a couple different ways to use kicking in a football game. Kick off after a score at the beginning of the game. Punt the ball after you run out of downs. If you don't get a first down, you got to punt the ball if you're in bad field position. Or to kick a field goal or an extra point after a touchdown.
How much is the kicker scores? Like
a field goal is worth 3 points.
Okay.
And extra point is just an extra 1 point. So a touchdown is 6 points.
Has anyone ever, hit a goal from one side of the field?
Not all the way on the other side. I don't know what the record
I don't know what
for
the
longest kick is.
Yeah.
But it's 60 some yards easy.
Right. I don't know if you ever heard the term you had one job. That applies.
You failed.
You have one job.
I'm beginning to sense a little bit of historical animosity in some games where you thought you should have won some games, had the kicker done there.
One job.
Yeah, okay.
I like you more and more. I like a football fan. And
yeah, thanks.
I have a quick question for you guys.
You bet.
Have y'all played pickleball yet?
What is that?
You go first. Okay, that's the answer for Manny. What is that? Years ago, back in like 2011, I used to work for a YMCA in marketing. And folks would get together, come in the gym, and they'd set up the nets. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, this is pickleball. Like, it's like giant big ping pong paddle looking things. And they hit a plastic ball. There's 2 people on each side, usually on a team, 2 people on a team, and they go back and forth. And there's a little court.
Like a lawn
tennis? A lot
of
fun. It's kind of like tennis, but different rule set.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. Oh, do you play?
Okay.
I have not played it yet. One of my clients is developing a pickleball line. That's how I know about it. But it's like you don't hear of new sports often in the US. Like who comes up with a new sport? So this is like biggest new sport, in the United States.
And back then, it was just the kind of the retired folks that would come in every day to the Y, and they were in their 60s and 70s, and they were whacking, and they taught me how to play, and they'd let me play and stuff like that. But they weren't necessarily athletic, but they were really good at spinning shots and making them go certain directions. And then my in-laws used to have a place in Arizona, and we'd go down. This is again 8 or 9 years ago. We'd go down to visit them.
Basically, it's
and they play pickleball at the country club.
Table tennis and shorter version of lawn tennis.
Yeah.
Okay, but the rules are the same.
No, not quite.
Oh,
similar,
okay.
but it's fun. is a lot of fun.
Like only in US or like?
I think it's
this is the first time I'm hearing about it.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Like again, I don't know internationally if it's popular, but it's definitely gaining popularity here.
Oh, okay. I've never seen a pickleball.
I don't know why it's called pickleball because there's no pickles involved. Maybe you get yourself in a pickle if you find yourself out of position, but I don't know.
Interesting name.
Yeah, fun game. So that's an awesome question. I'm glad you brought up pickleball. Well, Corinne, this has been awesome. This might be my new favorite. This
has been great.
Favorite podcast.
Thank you guys for having me.
Let's keep in touch. We'll connect.
Absolutely.
On LinkedIn and stuff like that. And heck, Manny and I think we've nodded. We need to talk about RIP.
Yeah,
we need to talk about getting serious about it because, we're growing and there's some value there and we need to protect it. So all you guys out there, make sure if you've listened to this, connect with Corinne, comment on here. Let us know what you're doing with your businesses or your thoughts on IP.